Welcome back. America's Ivy League schools under the microscope. The Department of Education launching an investigation into Harvard and Yale for allegedly failing to report foreign gifts and contracts from countries like China and Saudi Arabia. The Department of Education says that Yale failed to report at least $375 million. Harvard's number has not been released. It comes amid the arrest of Harvard professor Charles Lieber last month for concealing funding from a Chinese lab. That raised questions about the Department of Education not just investigating universities as a whole, but also individual employees. Joining me right now is the Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos. Ms. Secretary, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Great to see you, Maria.
Talk to us more about this. I know that Secretary Pompeo gave a really important speech the other day, and in that speech he talked about the Confucius Centers, how China is trying to take as much as they can from academia in the West. So first, walk us through this investigation.
Well, it's a part of the Higher Ed Act 117. Schools are supposed to report any foreign gifts or contracts over $250,000 twice a year. And we know that many schools have simply ignored that, maybe forgotten about it. But we began investigations last year with 8 schools and have expanded it now to 2 more. And other schools are voluntarily coming forward now to report things that they had not previously disclosed. So we know so far from the top 10 schools, there's at least $3.6 billion that had not been reported or disclosed. And as some of the senators who have introduced legislation around this issue have said, this is a giant black hole. We need to know where foreign influence and foreign gifts are coming into our higher ed system, and we need full transparency and accountability around that.
Especially as we have this whole national discussion right now about China and China's efforts to undermine the United States and steal intellectual property, certainly, and also do it through academia. Tell me what China's trying to do.
Well, exactly. I mean, we've seen the most recent development there with the indictment of the Harvard professor. We don't know the full extent of what China's going to do, and that's why ensuring that schools are being transparent about the influence of foreign funds, no matter how they come to the school, whether it's foundations, anything connected to the school that is coming from foreign actors, we need to broadly know about, and that's why we are extending these investigations, and we are assisting schools with ensuring they know the extent to which they need to report.
Yeah, we want to also talk about the budget. The president unveiled his budget request for the Department of Education for fiscal year 2021. In it, he called for the end to some student loan forgiveness programs. Secretary, what does the president's budget prioritize? Why is he putting an end to that? And how is he fighting the skyrocketing student loan crisis?
Well, we know that there are way too many options for student loan payback. Very confusing. It's been patchworked together for many, many years. The president's budget recommends one streamlined program, but importantly, some of the other things we're doing to help students make wise decisions about their higher education. Yeah. We're adding a lot of information. They can go to look at what it's going to cost them for a program at a school, compare it to the same program at another school, and then importantly what their earning potential is if they graduate from that program. A lot more transparency around costs, and also a lot of effort to reform the accreditation rules, which is going to allow for a lot more innovation and creativity in the higher education world.
This is what I want to talk to you about. Let's take a short break, and then we'll dig into that innovation with Betsy DeVos. We'll be right back. I'm back with Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. And Secretary, we were just talking about this investigation into Harvard and Yale and the idea that all this foreign money comes into the university level that is not being reported. Is it the issue around national security that's most prominent here and the reason that the administration is making these moves?
Well, certainly. I think we need to know where particularly China and other foreign countries are actually in influencing our country, whether overtly or insidiously. It is important that we have daylight around where this is happening and to what extent.
Yeah, and they've been, especially the Chinese, have been real aggressive in terms of coming in, trying to steal intellectual property, steal academia secrets in terms of the way we're doing things. But you at the department are changing a lot of things, but you are also facing a lawsuit for overturning an Obama-era rule protecting students defrauded by predatory schools. Tell me what you're doing and explain why you want to do away with that Obama-era rule.
Well, the Obama-era rule was bad. It was very, very broad, and it did not really define being defrauded. We have refined that rule.
So people say, look, I was defrauded. I have to have my loan forgiven.
Yes, there was basically no structure around it, and tens of thousands of students said we have been defrauded. Well, we have put a rule into place that will look at whether they have been financially harmed. Any student that has been defrauded and financially harmed should receive relief. But students that haven't been harmed, other students shouldn't ultimately have to pay off their loans, which is how it would ultimately work. And institutions need to be able to stand up and say, no, these facts are not right here. So we've put a rule in place that really is fair to all parties, and
because
is balanced in its approach. Some people are working 2 and 3 jobs just to pay off their loan. Why aren't they getting their loan forgiven? Exactly. Exactly.
Secretary, it's great to see you this morning.
Great to see you, Maria.
Thank you so much. Secretary Betsy DeVos joining us there.